Hello and welcome. My name is Stacy. This is my fiber arts channel, Flionfree Fibers. So, it is our first podcast episode, and we're on here not perfectly. My studio is still under construction, not painted, lighting's not great, but I was in my studio this weekend catching up on some podcasts while I was working on some projects and listening to Grocery Girl knit. And one of the viewers actually asked, when is a good time to start podcasting? How do you know the time is right? And their answer inspired me to get going. It was kind of a sign. They said, just jump in. And I was like, okay, well, guess that means we're jumping in. So it's something we wanted to do for a while now, and just working on timing and getting things ready where I wanted them. But now we're just jumping in, kind of like everything else. So Flionfree Fibers. So my name is Stacy. I'm coming to you from Connecticut. I'm up in the quiet corner, the northeast corner of Connecticut, on my farm. So if you catch me looking out, I am looking out over my animals and their little antics. Why podcasting? I am podcasting partly to hold myself accountable. I have some goals that I want to hit and things I want to pursue. So putting it out here into the world, have to continue to work on that and have everyone hold me accountable, as well as to inspire others, maybe encourage others. I see a lot of things in the fiber world, and there's a lot of rules, and there's a lot of books, and there's a lot of how-tos. It's fiber art. It's art. There's really no rules. Just make something lovely, like what you do, enjoy what you're doing. And it's your art, so no one can tell you it's wrong. If you want to figure out how to do something specifically, there's plenty of avenues out there for that. But if you just like to fly by the seat of your pants, that's all right too. So that's kind of my personality. I have times where I want to follow a pattern, and I have times where it's just inspiration. Do what I do and see how it comes out. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not having to follow rules and set a standard. So that's what we're going to be about. I'm going to show you my work, my creations, what I do. And if that inspires others to jump in and just enjoy it and make something beautiful, then great. We're sharing textile arts, and I am big on bringing back the textile arts. So, story, what's Flionfree? Kind of like my personality, it is just the courage and the gumption to just go ahead and do something. If you want to do it, just do it and enjoy it. So that's where we're going to go with it. I started in fiber arts, about 20 years ago. I was working a third shift job. I was locked in a room by myself as a security dispatcher. Third shift, very boring, had to keep myself awake. So I bought a kit and learned how to crochet, and I taught myself how to crochet. Not 20 years later, about 4 years ago, right before the pandemic, I decided I wanted to learn how to knit. So I walked into my local yarn store and said, I want to learn how to knit. They handed me some bamboo needles, told me to pick out some yarn. And knowing I crochet, they said, look up continental knitting. So I went home and did. Well, the pandemic hit. I worked 15 hours a day. Took me 3 years to finish my first project. No pattern. I just watched a YouTube on continental knitting. I cast on. And honestly, I can't even tell you at this point how I cast on. I probably did a knit cast on. And I made a scarf. And if you know a garter scarf, is so boring. So I picked it up and put it down a lot during the pandemic. And working long hours, I just didn't have time. But that's what I did. And then a few years later, I decided I not even just about a year ago now, wanted to learn how to weave. So I went into the local yarn shop and said, I want to learn how to weave. And jumped into that too. And now I felt and needle felt and I wet felt and I spin. So if it has to do with fiber, I'm in. So a little bit of encouragement. My first knitting project, baby alpaca. Nobody warned me. It's very slippery, very soft, but very slippery. But I did it. You can see the mistakes, the holes, the missed stitches, boring, garter stitch, boring, missed stitches, whatever. I got bored. So I changed color. I don't follow patterns all the time, most of the time. And then I put 2 colors together because why not? Didn't know there was a name for that. I marled them. And then went back to red, and then went back to marling, and back to the red, and back to marling, and then finished it out. It is not perfect. It is beautifully imperfect. It is soft. I haven't even, after all this time, I haven't even weaved in the ends. But I've worn it. I'm just not a huge scarf person, but I've worn it. And I keep it to remind myself that, you know, just jump in. It's okay. It's still lovely. I'm going to go in with finished objects just to kind of give you an idea. My first weaving project, I jumped into not a beginner class, but I jumped in anyway because why not? And they were teaching log cabin. And like I said, the lighting's not great, but it is a log cabin pattern. The inspiration was sunflowers. I grow sunflowers on my farm. So it's got the greens and the oranges and the yellows. And you can find this on my Ravelry page. I'll link this stuff down in the show notes at the bottom. But that was my first project. I did some nice fringes and it turned out great. I just jumped right in and weaving was definitely my forte. I will tell you, I understand weaving like some people understand knitting. You can talk knitting to me and I can knit and I can follow patterns, but when it gets into the jargon, I don't know. But if I see something, I know how to weave it. So some other examples of things I've done. No patterns, so this is pattern free, just make it up as I went along. A lot of times I will actually warp it, which is kind of like casting on. I will warp it and come up with a pattern as I go. So this started out as a plain weave and then I added in some pickup. This is a nice, this is a cotton I had made for my mother-in-law before she passed. It's a cotton scarf. She lived in a shawl. She lived in Florida, but you know, being sick, she was a little chilly. I used a plain purple cotton to warp with, and then the weft is a textured cotton. It was really nice, so that looser weave gets to show the texture and have a nice pattern to it. And it turned out really pretty. So don't be afraid to be creative and just do you. Last weaving I'll show for today. I actually wove this shawl for her funeral. This is the main warp is from Bad Sheep Yarn. I have a problem with Bad Sheep Yarn. I love their stuff. So while I was looking for something to match my dress, I went to my yarn stash and found a expired colorway that's called Whispering Spirits, and inspiration. Like, obviously I had to use that one. So I started off again with a plain weave, kind of switched over to, this is a pink cashmere. I added the pink to represent breast cancer, kind of get that in there. The stripes here, that is a hand spun. It is a purple and gray hand spun. It's very, pretty, it was what I had left over. I had actually made a hat with it, so I worked that in there. The Whispering Spirits is marled with a gray cashmere as well. So that was a made-up design. I actually was going to do something completely different than this, but this is how it turned out. I ended up doing, these pickups are crosses. If you look on the other side, there'll be little crosses in those pickups. So be afraid to make things up as you go. So those are some of my finished objects and how I got started and how I kept going with my fiber arts. You can see some spinning hung on the back of my door. The white is from my sheep. I raise Gulf Coast native sheep. I also raise Nigora goats, so I get that mohair blend. The brown is a CVM fleece that someone gave me. I spun that up as well. Another finished objects I just finished, you can see behind me, is a Raina scarf. The lighting is awful, but I'm going to leave it on her. It is done in fingering weight mushroom from Bad Sheep Yarn. I seen someone else had made it and I loved how it looked. So you can find that as well on my Ravelry page to see better pictures. Turned out wonderful. Just got done blocking it like 2 days ago, and have that hung up. I have another project on the blocking table. Yeah, blocking. Oh my gosh, what is that? You'll learn. Just start knitting. If you want to start knitting, just start knitting. This is my first piece I blocked because all my other pieces didn't need it. So I don't tend to block socks. But it's okay. I'm going to wear them. I'm going to wash them. So I'm more of a realist. If it's going to be used and washed and worn and things, then whatever. So don't be afraid of all the jargon. Just get in and enjoy yourself and create things and have fun. So what else do we have? We have a lot of things. If you're into inkle weaving, you can weave bands. Inkle weaving is a great way to weave. It's a little bit different than using a loom. I have a couple rigid hiddles. I have an inkle loom and a floor loom. So, and they all work a little bit differently. So the inkle looms are a little bit smaller. You can get an inklet from Ashford. Those are a smaller one. They work really great. They make great bands. You can do a ton of things with them. Let's see. So it was local yarn shop day this past weekend. I didn't get to go to mine because I went to here in Connecticut. It was also Connecticut Sheep and Wool. So I went down there. I love the fiber festivals because it shows off the local farms. Being a farmer myself, I want to support other fiber farms in the area, see what product they're offering, buy some yarn from them, and help them out as well. I go to my local yarn shop all the time, love to purchase things there as well, but I also like to support the farms in the area. So Connecticut Sheep and Wool this weekend was great. It was raining. It was pouring actually. Had a good time there. Got to say hello to some farmers, very local. There's plenty from this corner of Connecticut, even though we traveled down to the other corner. It's in North Haven now. So not Vernon anymore. It used to be in Vernon, Tolland area, but it is now in North Haven. So it's only about an hour from here. So we traveled down there, had a good time. I feel like some of the vendors are missing. Probably the outside vendors didn't seem as big as it was last year, but did see a lot of the same people, a lot of great products. And it was good to be able to talk to the vendors and say hello and discuss what they have going on and where they're going to be next. Next weekend is Maryland. There are a few going down to Maryland. It's Maryland's 50th anniversary. I will not be going this weekend to Maryland, maybe next year. But I did get some great stuff. So I will, let's see, talk about whips first, and then we'll get into things we purchased. So work in progress. So if you do fiber arts, you're going to find you might, I don't know if you're like me, jump all over the place. Things you're working on. I have one I can't show. It's actually sitting here on my loom. I'm working on some towels, hopefully for this weekend. But this is one that's kind of been sitting in a bag for a while. I am waiting for a friend who makes bags to kind of give me some insight and some ideas on the construction once I've done it. But I wove a bag. So it's kind of pinned together the way it's going to be. And this is where you can mix in your different fiber arts if you do different ones. So I wove the bag. It is, let's see, extraterrestrial from Bad Sheep Yarn, and another sock yarn that kind of pulled in. I think it's the Husak. I don't know how to say it. But it was a great purple and green. Loved it. So I mixed the two. Here is the detail right here. This is a crochet stitch across to kind of separate the bottom of the bag. So I did a crochet, so it's on both sides. Still needs to be constructed, but that will be the bag. So it's a decent size little bag. It'll be probably a project bag. And I wove some pockets that I'm going to stitch on. So I have a couple pockets, and then I pulled out my Inca loom and made a band for it. So this is kind of one of the things I want to ask my friend is how I'm going to put this band on. Do I want 2 straps? You know, kind of her insight on what is more durable, or do I want to run this strap along the side seam to hide it and then down the other side so it's one big strap and wraps all the way around? But if you make bags and have insight, let me know. But the Inca Weave band is all done. It's super strong. It's sock yarn, so it has that nylon in it. The bag has the nylon on it because I made it with sock yarn. So it's going to be very durable and sturdy. So that is a project. It's actually been sitting in a bag for a couple months. I did it a few months ago, and it's been sitting here waiting to be constructed. So I am on I'm actually working on my spring cleaning for Needles at the Ready. Had a spring cleaning, so I'm like, yes, I'm jumping in, I'm getting things done. So I finished my Reina. I have a poncho that took me a long time to knit up. It is a 4x4 knit purl. So it's a rib, and it had to be like 55 inches long and by 24 inches wide, I believe. And it took me a while. That was one of the ones you pick up, you put down, you pick up, you put down. Finally got it done. So it's being blocked right now, about one more day, and that will be ready to come off, and I'll be able to sew the poncho together. So next time we'll have another finished object. So, and hopefully the bag too. So getting that spring cleaning done. And then what else do we have? Socks. I've been working on these socks for a while now. Brief intermission. FedEx man was here for a delivery. So I've had this pair of socks on the needles for a while. I had to frog it. It is an expired colorway, and I wasn't happy with the fit. So I was actually quite a ways into them, and finally just decided to frog it because it's an expired colorway. I can't redo it, and I really like it. So it hurts to frog something, but and if you're new to fiber arts, that just means pull out your work, ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. So I did. So now they're back on, 2 at a time, toe up, in the magic circle, magic loop. So back in, this is Bad Sheep yarn again. This colorway was called Forget Me Not. So love it. I love this colorway. So I'm so glad I got one before it expired. So redoing them, I decreased the amount of stitches. While it would fit my feet, I kind of like some negative ease. So I like my socks a little tighter. If you look at labels, I'm probably a medium, but I like to buy smalls because I like them not to move in my shoe. So I don't like my socks to stretch out and move on my feet. It bothers me. So I did not reduce the needle size. I reduced the number of stitches. I believe I have 60 stitches on here now. So I do like it a better. It's on a size 2 needle. Toe up. I haven't decided if I'm going to do an afterthought heel or not, or if I'm going to do heels. So my very first set of socks, as I said, they were supposed to be 2 up 1 by 1 ribbing, but it ended up being cuff down 1 by 1 ribbing until the toe. And it was in a DK weight. This is in fingering weight, and I really like the way they fit, but it's the ribbing, it's tighter. So I am going with this now. I like the way it's fitting at 60, but we'll see, because they still have to be wet finished, and we'll see how that works. But much happier with them now. I have done afterthought heels. That's where I was going with this. My first set had no heel, which some people kind of get scared about not having a heel, but the point of these tube socks with just the toe is that you're never, when you put them on, you're not putting them into a set heel position. So you're not wearing out that one spot. Your heel's always going in a different place. So you're kind of wearing it evenly, and they do last a while longer. I wear mine all the time, and I work in them, like work in them. My farm boots, my mud boots, and they're wearing great. Like I don't see any wear on them at this point still. So I might actually do a flap and gusset heel. I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna look at some patterns and see if anything inspires me, but not there just yet. So that is what's living on that needle. I don't have fancy bags, so I've got 5 Australian Shepherds and a boxer. There's a lot of hair in my house, which is why I have a fiber studio upstairs where they're not allowed. So I actually use these plastic bags that you get sheets and blankets in, because it keeps the hair off my projects. So if you got a lot of dogs and a lot of hair hanging around, I like these. I do have some project bags. Like I have a lovely Della Q book bag that I love. I take my projects in that, but they go in these bags, into that bag, and we hit the road. So I do love bags. I do have a bag problem, but I can't. Not in this house. Another project, I haven't actually cast this on yet, so I am looking for input on this. This is something I want to make. It's a special make. I am not following the color pattern, but I am following the pattern. So this is Autumns by Cindy Craft. So you can see this sweater has, it's supposed to be like fall leaves and acorns. They did it in this gold with the white highlighted. Of course, I'm gonna get fancy. So I'll show you my color palette for the leaves and the acorns. The part I'm looking for input on is the main color of the sweater. I haven't started yet because I don't know what I want to make the main color. With having such a colorful yoke in the design, I'm not sure what I want. I don't want the color of the sweater itself, the body, to take away from that. So someone suggested cream. I have a cream. This is a hand knit Irish knit. I inherited this. This was still brand new, never worn when my mother-in-law passed, so I'm wearing it for her. But someone said cream. I'm not a huge fan of cream. Oh, I have hair in my mouth. See, like I said, dogs. But so I was thinking like maybe blue, or is that too much? Or I don't know if a gray would kind of kill it. I put it next, definitely not a black. I'm not sure. I haven't been inspired yet. So here is my color palette. I'm gonna take it out of the bag so you can see. For the fall leaves, I live in New England. Like, come on, we have the best falls. So you gotta go with the colors. So, bad shape yarn. This is Talisman. This is from their fantasy collection, Talisman. It's got yellows and oranges, so it's perfect for fall leaves. This is Red Dragon, also from the fantasy collection. It's got that orange and red fall leaves. Pumpkin, just straight orange. And then I went through a lot of greens. I actually have several of their greens, trying to figure out which one was best for like our fall colors. Because if you live here in New England or you've seen the leaves, when they start turning green, two colors, they go from like a green yellow, green, like a paler green. And I have quite a few greens, but when they brought back Lucky Charm, I was like, there it is. There's the green. So it kind of has all those green variations. So you'll get that fall color. So this is my fall leaves. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I'm not sure if I'm going to marl them. Probably not, because it's a DK and I got them all in DK for that. So, but I could go like different rows with different colors to make the leaves different colors. We'll see when I get to it, when I cast on where I go. My acorns, so as you know, acorns aren't just brown. I went with chocolate. So this came out in the charcuterie collection. I do have grizzly, but it just didn't hit as far as like our acorns. But I do like the chocolate because it has a little bit of green in there, which our acorns do get some green on them, especially when they first come out, and then it goes a darker brown to a lighter brown. So that was my inspiration. When I saw this sweater, I knew, I was like, ooh, I know exactly what, but I don't know what to make the main body. Like, I just can't figure out with all those colors what color I want to make that main body. So if you have suggestions, please let me know. Make a comment. Tell me what you would do, because I am open for suggestions on that. That is a project. I do have another fall color inspired project that I am going to do. I am one color short for it right now. So I am looking for that color, but until I have that secured, I'm hoping soon. I'll probably actually start on that one first because it will be a little bit easier of a knit. And my goal for those is August, so I do have some time on those. So into, oh, what else do we have? I don't know, working on so many things, always something, always several things. But Connecticut Sheep and Wool and local yarn shop day. So a friend of mine and I got in the car in the rain and traveled down to North Haven. Got there a little bit early, and as soon as we got there like 8:30, people started piling in. Everyone had the same idea. Get good parking so you're not stuck in the mud. Saw some vendors, like I said, got to chat with a lot of local farms and local vendors. So it was great. It was great to see a lot of people I don't get to see all the time. And look at what they're doing and what they've added this year. Like, we've had several that have added product, and it was good to see them kind of diversify and branch out a little bit. So that's good. One thing I really wanted was some lanolin lotion. And I know I've seen it. I saw it last year at Rhinebeck, and working outside all the time, and like, I love how my hands feel after I wash my fiber and after I've been working with it. So I was like, I really want to get some lanolin lotion. None. So I came home, I checked out the Rhinebeck vendor list from last year, and I'm going to order some. So lanolin lotion is great. The lanolin in the wool is just great. That's what keeps them kind of waterproof and keeps them from shrinking. So what did we purchase? A couple things. I didn't go crazy this year. Nothing like last year. I've got a great stash right now. I'm trying to work with my stash, and obviously my own sheep's fiber. So didn't purchase a ton. What I did realize is I don't have, besides my sheep's natural yarn, I don't have a lot of natural color yarns. I did have someone come up to me and ask for like a brown variegated scarf. They really like the feel of the cotton, one of those cotton scarves I have. So I was looking for that. Didn't actually find any cotton that fit the bill at Connecticut Sheep and Wool this year, but I did get some, so we'll get into that. I did purchase some browns, so yay. Got into that. It was something I purchased actually last year at the New England Fiber Festival as well, because I had someone else that was looking for grays and browns in hats, in wool hats, like not superwash. So got some of those Bartlett yarns and made some of those. So one of the vendors, which I loved her stuff last year, there were some colorways that I absolutely love. She does not have a brick and mortar store, but she does have a website. So you can purchase her stuff. She is in Moosup, Connecticut, which is probably about 25 minutes from here. And so I searched her out this year because I knew I wanted to get some. They have alpaca. So it is Alpaca Obsession LLC. I got 2 skeins of yarn from her. So I got a natural cream. This one is, these are single plies. This is something she had made this year. She's actually working with Still River Mill, which is right up the road. She had Deidre make her a single ply, just something a little different. This one, they're both different. This is alpaca and Surrey, so super soft. This is going to be a cowl. No pattern. I'm a no pattern girl. Like some things I just don't need a pattern for. And then I got this one, which is a 75% alpaca and 25% Romney. So it is got some greens and blues and a bit of brown in it. So there's some of the natural you can see in it, and again, a single ply, but it's got like, it's almost like a worsted heavy DK. So I'm going to mix those two together, figure it out. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out, but it's going to be a cowl. I really found out this year I love cowls. I'm not a huge scarf person. I like to just pull it over my head and there it is. So I'm going to come up with something for that. So for Twist of Face Spinnery, I believe they're also they are one of our several processors here in Connecticut. I think we have 5 fiber mills to get our stuff processed. So this is one of them. This is 50% alpaca, 50% wool, all 3 of these. I got them in sport weight. So natural colors. So there is a cream, a lighter brown, and a deep brown. Not sure yet, but I got the colors and I like them and they're soft enough. I do have a very sensitive neck, so my first sweater is actually underneath this. When I made it, I added baby alpaca to the neckline. I merled it in and I doubled it. So I had 2 of the baby alpaca to the one wool DK that I was working with. So it made it a little thicker of a neck, keeps me warm, my neck, and made it a little softer, but it still kind of aggravates. Like even this is kind of aggravating me. So I learned I really like on the neck, I got to be really careful and kind of probably always change that to a super soft fiber for me. Very sensitive. Otherwise, anywhere else, I'm good. Like I said, I have been felting, so of course, gotta go see Going Gnome. I got a new fiber block, new felting block. I have another one. It's made of wool, so things like stick to it a lot, like you're ripping it off. So I want to work with this one and that one and kind of compare. They did give me some tips. I got a kit with thicker gauge needles because I do some bigger projects that the thicker gauge needles are going to be huge for me. to help with those, I've got a whole kit of like the finer needles, but these are going to help with some projects that I have currently on the list. Another acquisition, I guess, I picked up was, I like to mix things with my sheep's fiber as I bat it up or comb it and make this. So I bought some cashmere from Boreas. I'm sorry if I say that wrong. I am not good at pronouncing things. Boreas Farm Cashmere in Newark, Vermont. So, and I'll put this all in the show notes at the bottom, but I got 1 ounce of roving to test it out, see how I like it, see how I like to spin it. I'm going to mix it in with some of my fiber and see how that goes. See how I like that mix. It may be something. I've mixed in alpaca. I mix in my mohair. Obviously I'll spin it straight. I like to mix in different things and see how I actually have, I purchased something last year at, I don't remember what it is, at New England that was unique. I hadn't heard of it before and I haven't had a chance, but it's kind of like a silk. And I'm going to mix that in and see how it is. It's the same color. It's a natural color, so it will blend right in with our fiber and should make it kind of give it a sheen to it, as well as add some extra softness. Gulf Coasts are on the softer end of wool, so it's a shorter staple, but they are a softer end of wool. Very resilient sheep, good for fiber and meat, so dual purpose, but they're on the highly endangered list, which is why we have them and breed them. So after Connecticut Sheep and Wool, it was local yarn shop day, and I follow quite a few yarn shops around the state. And I said, listen, I know this one is probably 20 minutes out of our way, but it's local yarn shop day. You want to go check out a different yarn shop while we're kind of out this way. So we were like, sure, let's go do it. We went up to Windsor and stopped in at U&U. What a great little store. I posted a video on my farm page. It's on my Instagram as well of, I kind of went around and just did a quick video. They had a great crowd there, sitting there knitting, chatting, having fun. So much stuff in such a little store. So much stuff. It was great. The ladies were lovely. They had all sorts of things, a huge collection of books, lots and lots of solids, stuff we have in our local yarn shop, which, you know, obviously great to see. Everyone's carrying a lot of the same brands, and then there was stuff we don't have, which of course, if we can get it at our local yarn shop, we're going to get it there. And then if, obviously to find other things, that's what you're looking for. So we took about 2 laps around the store, at least. Stopped at a couple things and, you know, oohed and awed, kind of just saw what they had, but we actually stopped at the notations first, and I love stitch stoppers. I have them on my needles all the time because dogs, craziness, farm, I might have to pick up and drop my knitting at like a moment's notice, so pop them on. So I got bikes, because if you know me, I cycle. Love those. My farm is Easy Acres Gnomestead, so I got a couple little gnomes, stitch stoppers. I got these darning needles that have a little hook. I don't know if I'm going to like them, but I wanted to try them, so I'm going to try them. I did end up getting a variegated brown cotton. Not something I've heard of before, KFI collection. Nothing super fancy. It is, it does kind of stripe up. I'm going to do it the other way, so it's going to run the long way because I'm going to weave it. And we'll see how that comes out, but I think that fits the bill for the variegated brown that she was looking for in cotton. Then we saw books. Ooh, books. I am not a big reader, but there are things that I like in books, and I like to have references. So something we are doing in our local knitting guild. And I'm not one for homework and all the fancy stuff. So like I said, I don't follow the rules. I didn't do the swatch little test thing that they did. I'll figure it out at some point. But we were talking about casting on and binding off and all the different ways of casting on and binding off and what the different attributes are and how you can use them and what you can do. And that's kind of going to be our topic next month. It is the Southern New England Knitting Guild. It is the only one south of Boston, I believe. So it goes on the third Wednesday of every month. I will put a link in the show notes. It is on a Wednesday night, third Wednesday of the month. I'll put a link in there so you can check it out. They do have a Ravelry group. We're still working on it. It's still very new, so check it out. We will be doing more. But I found this book and I was like, oh gosh, because I usually watch, like I will watch Needles at the Ready and Grocery Girls and We Share Needles, and there's a list of podcasts that I watch. And they'll talk about different, and I'm always like writing it down. I'm like, ooh, gotta check out that one, gotta check out that one. Cast off and bind off 211 ways of beginning and ending your knitting. What a reference book. So I'm gonna bring that, but wow, what a book. So I have already looked through it. Like there's a ton of them that I've heard of that I've wanted to try, and I am excited to have this as a reference. And I know you can YouTube it, and I probably will. Like I'll go through this and use it as a reference and YouTube it as well. But I live in the country. If we don't have power, we don't have internet. If we don't have internet or power, we don't have mobile service either. So we're dead in the water. So I gotta have a book. The next one I found. Ooh. This is pretty cool. Remember those books when you were a kid, you would go to the library, you know, when we had the library in grade school, and you had the books where you're like the pop-up books and you're like, ooh. And then you had the books where you kind of made your own stories, where they had the different, you could flip the different parts of the page to make different pictures. That's this book. We're making patterns by flipping. 10,000 knitted hats. Discover your own unique design. So you open this book and it's got 3 sections. Hold on, I'll open this page. So here's your hat. Oh wait, I want a different top. Bink, there's a different top. There's your body there, and there's your pattern on the other side. So you have all of these different options you can change, and you can change the bottom, and you can change the top, and you can change the ribbon, and you can, oh my God, that is so me. Like, I don't want just a pattern. Like, let me find something. We'll do this. We'll do that. We'll fly all over. I knit hats last year for the first time. Knit hats. I've crocheted hats. Crocheted lots of hats. I knit hats for the first time last year. And I probably watched, I don't know how many different videos, and I was like, oh, I like that piece. I like that piece. I like that piece. And that's the same way I cook. I'll look at a bunch of different recipes and I'll pick and take what I like and make my own. So this was right up my alley. 10,000 knitted hats. Check it out. I believe my friend was ordering one because they only had one. So she was like, oh, what's the name of that book I'm ordering? And then the next book I got was, this is for my farm. And for my fiber. Getting back to natural fibers and wearing natural stuff and not having all the chemicals and all the push of like, let's not put chemicals into our body, let's eat natural foods. Same with wearing stuff, wear natural fibers. And I love my hoodies, so God, like I know it's cotton, but it's dyed, and it's dyed with chemicals, and I still use yarn dyed with chemicals, but natural kitchen dyes. This is one of my goals with my fiber. I want to use natural dyes. I know it doesn't have the sheen and it's a little bit duller, but if eating chemicals isn't good, I mean, wearing them can't be great either. So we're not perfect. None of us are, but I do want to get into dyeing some natural stuff. So this is in your kitchen. So this will work with my garden. I'll probably play around this year as we harvest. And then I'll get into, I do have plans for a dyeing garden. So I will start planting probably next year because it didn't work out this year, to dye with some of my plants. So that's what we got. They had these cute little giveaway bags. I didn't think I opened mine completely yet. So cute little gift bags for showing up, buying some stuff. You got entered into a raffle. So great little friends, You and You Fiber Arts. Has a little thing on the top. I don't even know what this is. Sheep in a bowl, I think. Sticker and a You and You Fiber Arts magnet. What else is in here? Ooh, more stickers. It's not a phase. And another little ram. Sticker. Wow, there are lots of stickers. Another sticker. And ooh, I gotta open him up. You gotta see this. He's cute. Ooh. A little sheep, but he's a stressed sheep. So it's a little hand squeezy sheep. He's so cute. So he'll live on my desk when you get really frustrated with a project. So that's what we did. So we did partake in both Connecticut sheep and wool and visited a local yarn shop that neither one of us had ever been to yet. Love it. It is not that far away from us, probably 35-40 minutes. So that's about it. No schedule yet. We'll figure it out as we go, maybe every other week, maybe once a month. I don't know. Summer's busy around here with garden and animals and ruining the sheep and brushing out the goats and processing all the fiber, so it's busy. But we'll be back shortly, so watch. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for the sweater, please comment. Very open to ideas and what you think. I will take whatever you got. So give us a like, subscribe. We'll see how it goes. We'll be back with more stuff, more FOs, finished objects, definitely the shawl, and we'll see what else we get done by next time. But we'll see, and I'll announce it and we'll get it on there. So thank you again. You can visit our farm page. You can follow us on Instagram. I will post all that in the show notes below in the description. So say hello. We'll see you soon.